Welcome back, everyone, for like maybe, I don't know, the second, third, fourth, and fifth time. Believe it or not, guys, this is the, what, I don't know, fourth, fifth, sixth take we did of this. Started to do an episode and noticed that after the episode, nothing got recorded. The pains and the joys and the woes and the toes of running a podcast. But hey, I'm your host here, Ash, and we are the OnReviewCast. And today we're going to be taking a look on review at a podcast of Squid Game Season 2, Episode 2. And yeah, this is it. All right, I was going to get started here with our episode breakdown, courtesy of Fan. We're just kicking it off strong here today. This episode is called 001. 001 is the third episode of the second season of Squid Game. It is the 12th episode of the series overall. It was written by Hwang Dong-hyuk and directed by Hwang Dong-hyuk. Of course, that's our boy Hwang. Synopsis. New players gather for a chance to win 45 billion won after an intense first round with the survivor's fate hanging in the balance. I'm sorry, I botched that. After an intense first round, the survivor's fate hanging in the balance down to one final vote. Yeah, courtesy of Fandom, our episode breakdown. So yeah, guys, this episode, talking about this again for the second time, but this episode is essentially one that picks up from the last one. We know that Gion was wanting to get back into the games. He wants to be back into the games. He wants to get his game on. He wants to get his game on, and so he essentially wakes up in the sleeping quarters of the Squid Game, and he's on the island once again, and it's very reminiscent of the first episode. They're all in their green jumpsuits, everybody's in their bunk, everybody's waking up. It's a fresh new day, fresh new games, right? That's essentially what it is. And he has his old number 456. He's the last player within this game, and he's getting ready to essentially play it. So, like I said, this first episode comes after the last one. We kind of remember where Gion entered himself back into the games with hopes of uncovering the truth of what's actually happening here. And so his little squad of baddies or bad boys can come in and essentially, raid the place because he's got the little tracker in his chip, a little tracker in his mouth, right? So that's essentially what's happening here. So for the first little bit, essentially what happens is we get to meet some new characters. Well, we get to see a bunch of new characters, and yeah, we get to meet a new series of new characters as well. But similar to the first season of Squid Game, it kind of starts off where everybody is introduced, and they kind of explain that this is a situation, is essentially an opportunity for them to, make it big and win some huge ass money. And some of them are complaining about, the clothing and why they basically be essentially kidnapped or whatever. I think it was a good move on the direction of this, of how they decided to go and skip all of the whole thing as to how they're kidnapped off the streets with the idea of gassing them inside of the car and etc. or whatever, because we already seen that in season 2. I'm glad we kind of saw it once with Gion. They didn't need to show the details of that with each and every individuals, and they skipped also I think a little introductions into the characters, and they just kind of jumped into it. There's definitely season 2 vibes. Now, something I want to definitely point out right off the bat here, and the contrast between season 1 and season 2. In this episode, we actually get to the rules of the games, and I feel like the situations have become a little bit more political and a little bit more changed in terms of how the game is going to be played. And that might have been due to the way that, maybe the consciousness are kicking in as to how they're conducting these games. Different from season 1. Season 1, there was no, they recruit the people, everybody got in there, everybody got started with this, dressed all the same way. But in contrast, what happened is that when Gion first arrived, he asked about the first game and having the money split up in several different ways. after the first game. In the first season 1, they wasn't doing that. They were just killing motherfuckers. They were just like, you know what? You're in this game. You're playing it till the end. That's it. You signed up for this by entering inside of the car and answering the phone call with the card. There was only one vote, I think, actually in season 1. I'm pretty sure with when Ilnam and all of them in the first round and that first go about to see if they wanted to continue the game. And now I'm pretty sure that was like after the first game as well. So like it just seems like they're getting more political with the new rules of like, okay, after each game we'll have a vote to see if you guys basically want to continue, giving them, and I think this stresses the fact of giving them all the opportunity and all the reasons and all the reasonings behind of just like, you have every opportunity to escape this shit and get out of this with your life and with your life intact and live through this. But obviously we'll talk a little bit more about it, but the human greed, the greed and nature of wanting to have more money and get more money is astounding, and we'll talk about the depths of that later. But like I said, like Guion asked him to essentially explain this, and he does essentially, while all the way knowing that his his sidekick crew of armored men is coming to try to find the island, and they're trying to designate and find this island on this boat, and to essentially hunt and get the location of this island so they can come and save Guion. But in the interim, they are explaining the rules of the game, and how essentially it'll be played, and how this time around it'll be essentially be distributed amongst themselves. Like I said, like the game seems to be evolving. Now, something very interesting that we also see within this episode is the dynamic of meeting some new characters, and one of them is a mom and a son couple. A duo, and which works perfectly for these games, right? Because if it was the old school game where it's like, okay, you in it, you don't get no votes or whatever, we're not splitting this, blah blah blah, it's just one person, one in, one out, a bunch of people in, one out. If it was doing that, I'm like, well, someone's gonna die, right? Well, the mother of the son's gonna be essentially gonna die, right? And so we meet this mother and the son, and the son is basically making all kind of noise about how can he put his mom through this situation, how could they treat an older or elderly lady and put her in this situation. And what's funny is, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Squid Game reality TV show. I'm not too sure if you're familiar with that, but I think this is where they got that concept from. And I think that that's such the dynamic of that, actually having a mother and a child, a mother and a son in there is so like interesting. I don't think you could have written that in there. And if they did write that in there, it's kind of like chicken before the egg kind of thing. Like, did they write that in there? Did they not write it in there? I mean, or did they knew before? Like I don't know, that I would like to believe that they got inspirations from the reality TV show of having that dynamic in there, because like again, like that's such an interesting dynamic, them two fighting back and forth of essentially why they should be there. But essentially they both sign up to be a part of this game. We also made this another new character who also signs up to be a part of the game that was in the first episode. I didn't really necessarily recognize him because he was wearing a hat. And he is one of those, crypto guys, and he was really into it. And at the same time, we meet a character I feel that's so strong in this, called Thanos. And a little bit of background about Thanos, because this is on review and we've seen this episode before, but I just want you guys to know out there for OnReviewCast, Thanos is actual, like rapper and actual like artist in the real world. But because of some difficulties he ran into, he was, like now like kind of like defunct kind of artist. But Thanos, who I would argue in this entire series, we've seen it, which makes this fucking thing sing, which makes this season 2 sing, did not make any money from Squid Game. I'm gonna repeat that again. Thanos did not make any money from Squid Game. The character and the actor Thanos, he didn't make any money from saying Squid Game, despite having a very authentic, legit performance. I feel like throughout this entire thing. I mean, like it's Squid Game. It was gonna be great, and I think without Thanos, it's still great. But what really puts the cherry on top, which really makes this thing really fucking sing and brings out its brightness, is this character, this very authentic character of this Asian hip hop enthusiast being involved in being interested in this crypto, and he lost it all because of this guy that's also in here with him. And I think that like that dynamic and that plot line and that idea is so fascinating. Actually, it's actually really fascinating. It's really actually interesting, and I think that it's the dynamic of it all is just very. It's so interesting. And I, like I said before, like Thanos makes this thing sing, and it's kind of crazy to believe that he didn't make a dime from this. Anyway, like we meet other various characters. Essentially, yes, the Gion, and we meet some of his other people. There's that one girl who's a part of the transgender community, and there's another pregnant girl in here who is as well. We meet all of our main characters. We see who are going to be the main faces and the main focuses of this season 2. And like I said, it's a little bit more evolved. I feel like from the 3 years ago when he participated in this, we have them actually signing this waiver signature, basically saying that, hey, listen, these games are difficult and they're going to clean your life. I'm sure they say that in there somewhere, but nobody reads the fine print of those. Nobody reads the terms of agreements, right? Essentially. But yeah, so we cut back to our seafaring adventurers who are still on the outlook or on the hunt for Gion to see exactly where he is. And man, I'll tell you, like I said, like off the bat, like I felt like something is going on with this. And I felt like through this, like something's going on with the fishermen and something's going on with the crew in general. Like, I don't know, like everybody can like be trusted, and we'll definitely get more perspective and more insight into that as well. But yeah, but like I said, like going back to Thanos though, man, like his thing throughout this is so powerful and so strong, and like his performance and acting is just so great in this. And it's like I said, it's hard to believe that he didn't make a thing from this. And like he are all taking pictures, and he's hitting on this girl, and Thanos is like it's this main girl who while they're trying to take this picture, who she's trying to get to take a picture with them as well. And it just doesn't, like, you know, she doesn't seem necessarily interested. So they all go through the paces of the same thing of getting the picture taken and playing and preparations of getting the game, walking through this maze kind of like design thing. And Gion runs into an old friend, actually, who is now in here with the games, and he's telling him about how, you know, his life has gone particularly hard, and how he divorced his wife and it's taken a turn for the worse. And then essentially Gion tries to warn him about you know, these games and the nature of these games, like by telling him, but not really telling him, because other people might be around as they walk along and try to explain. He tries to explain essentially like, whenever it starts, like, stay close to me. That's basically essentially what he says. And he's a little freaked out at first, but understandably he agrees, and he's like, yeah, cool dude, whatever. And we finally arrive to where our destination is, and it's, of course, it looks like the familiar scene that we're used to. It's the first game, red light, green light. Oh my god, the thing that started it all. That's the game that sparked it all. The game that sparked it all. And when they arrive to the arena for the first game of Red Light, Green Light, Thanos is just trying to mac on this girl, just macking on her, trying to, you know, just do trying to do Thanos. It's just Thanos doing Thanos, baby. He's just hitting on this girl though, and he's trying to charm her. And they are all again on the review, I would have thought that this girl would have been like a major player and a major main character in this thing, but as we quickly realize that's not going to be the case. So anyway, they start playing this game. And they enter. They enter their arena, and Guion starts to get a little nervous, and he starts to wonder, the first game starting. My SEAL Team 6 team should be dropping in from the sky anytime now to stop this shit and to fight back against the man, fight back against and save these fucking people. And the crew that is actually looking and tracking Guion's tracker is actually finding an island. They find an island with a fisherman on it, and it seems to be a remote, undesignated island. And you start to think, and Guion's looking inside, and you start to think like, well, maybe they found the island, maybe they found it or whatever it is. And unfortunately, it looks like the tracker is leading them towards this fisherman. And Guion, it switched back to the red light, green light area, and Guion pulls out his tooth where the tracker is essentially supposed to be. He pulls it out, and he actually wonders if it's been tampered with. And of course it has been. And like realistically, like, yeah, it wouldn't be that easy. Like, come on. You really think that it would necessarily be that easy for them to be tracked like that? Like, you would check him, especially when he asks to like be put back in this situation. You wouldn't check him, like, realistically. So Guion pulls out the fake tooth, and he realizes the chip that essentially that he planted within himself to be rescued is gone. Bum, bum, bum. And it's in the bait of the fisherman on the island of which the crew is now found, and essentially translating, communicating to the audience is that Guion is fucked. To the nth degree, and which he clearly states to himself as well. So I'm not like, paraphrasing here. He basically states this. So the question to the fisherman, and they ask him, where the fuck did you fucking get this chip? And they're all kind of like, and he's kind of like, oh, well, someone gave it to me, blah, 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 all this other bullshit. And he essentially communicates to the detective that's essentially was a part of that with them and helping them out. He's like, basically, yeah, your boy fucked. So the red light, green light game essentially starts. And Guion tries to warn them of essentially what is going to happen and what is the most likely scenario of what the consequences of essentially moving. And they soon figure out or visually see the consequences of moving pretty easily when a bee lands on the chick that Thanos is trying to flirt with. And she freaks the fuck out, moving all kind of reaction. And at first you think that, oh, it's okay, they're playing red guy, green light, it's fine. And then bam, right between the eyes. And she goes down and she dies. And she gets shot in the head and she dies. And the woman next to her loses her fucking shit. Realistically, I mean, understandably so. I mean, someone just got shot in the head, beside you. And Thanos is trying not to, freak out or move or anything. And the ironic thing is the bee is still messing with her body. And the woman next to him starts freaking out. She starts moving, and it's fucking pure chaos. Very similar to the first episode of Squid Game when it first released. And people are getting shot. And Guion is still trying to warn motherfuckers to not fucking move. Don't fucking move. Don't fucking move. But everybody's, of course, panicking and running and leaving. And they're all getting shot and taken down. And it's pure and utter beautiful chaos. Something that was actually different in this scene, because we a little bit different from this scene, a little bit besides the fact that Guion was trying to like direct and trying to help out the other competitors, was that at the final shot before the chaos, the initial chaos ends, we got to actually see the snipers within the walls, the people who are actually shooting down on the other individuals. And we actually got to see the girl from the second episode that we forgot to talk about. Yeah. we got to mention that she is indeed a triangle, and she is indeed murdering people with the sniper shot. It's going to be essentially confirming that for us. And so the game continues, and Gion rushes to the front while he has time to. And I thought this scene was actually pretty funny, where Thanos actually breaks out the cross, and you're thinking like he's like, oh, he's gonna go pray, and he's gonna hope to God that he survives this, essentially. And no, it's in the cross, it's actually drugs. While he has the opportunity to move. So Gion's in front now, and he's charging, and he's leading the pack like a fucking general. And he's also making sure that he's letting them know all the rules. Like, yo, if you don't complete this mission as well, everybody dies. Essentially, he's instructing them how to move and how to essentially form a Congo line to make sure that no one else is essentially dies, because like he's playing the whole hero of this thing. Now, of course, a multitude of things happen within this game, and I think one of the more significant things that actually happens is that the guy Thanos that was on drugs through this endeavor, he takes the drugs, and he's so high that he pushes one of these motherfuckers and a whole line of people by mistake, in air quotes. I don't know if it was a mistake or not a mistake to this day, but it just shows the fucked upness and the individuality of fucked upness, of fuckery that's most likely going to happen within this season. And I thought that was actually interesting. And like I said, Thanos, he makes this thing sing. It's the cherry on top. He's the one who's having the most fun. And you know what's ironic about this? Again, he's not getting paid. He's not getting paid, and he's making this motherfucker sing. He's making this it's a beautiful strong performance. Like I said, it makes sense. It makes sense. Like when he's high, you can tell he's high and he's having so much fun. When he's like serious Thanos, it's so much talent there. And it's a shame that, I guess, like I said, in his younger years, he's having some troubles and he wasn't able to necessarily express that. But anyway, let's get on with the episode. So they're playing red light, green light, and it turns out like something interesting actually happens, which I don't think we've seen from the first episode. One of the players essentially got eliminated, and Gion goes back for him. So Gion was already across the line; he was done. And one of his friends, similar to like last time, helps him and helps the individual that got eliminated, goes back for them, and pulls them across the finish line essentially after getting hit in the leg. The reason that they hit him in the leg and on the head to essentially kill him instantly, there's a whole bigger story behind that, but we'll get into that a little bit later. So, essentially what happens is they pull him and they drag him across the line. And as they're pulling him and dragging him across the line, they have like seconds to get this motherfucker across, and they essentially do it. They get him across, but just as they get him across, bam, he's hitting the head with a bullet, and he dies. Indicating again, no exceptions, no substitution. It's final. If you're eliminated, you're eliminated. It's done. That's what it is. It is what it is within these kinds of games. And that's essentially what happens. So back at the quarters, so back at the sleeping quarters or whatever it is, the crew, back at the sleeping quarters, the crew, the contestants taking part in the game essentially are, in their bunks, fucking traumatized, and you can tell that they're traumatized because the second that the square guys and the people that are running the show walk in, they all climb up and they get all scared, and they all back and try to hide under their bunks because they're afraid that they're going to basically murder them. And so much so that the mother and the son start asking and begging essentially for forgiveness and for all their debts, and saying that they know that they are essentially they understand that they are, responsible for the debts, and that they won't do it again or whatever it is, because they feel like they're being punished to some degree or whatever. And they essentially start praying and begging for their lives. throwing themselves to the floor, and it leads to everybody starting to do this, right? And something that's so funny that happens within the episode, the square individual, the guys that are usually in charge, of the leaders of the pack, are essentially kind of like players. There seems to be a misunderstanding. We're just giving you an opportunity here. Because it just was so funny because it's like, oh, you're praying and you're praying for your life and you're begging for forgiveness or whatever it is, and just being begged and asked to let go, and he's like, oh, dude, you could have left any time. This is awkward. Like I just thought that was so funny. But anyway, so after begging for their lives and pleading with them, Gion stands up like this motherfucker, and like the motherfucker he is, and he's kind of like, you said that we could leave at any time or whatever, right? And all the article clause, blah 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 of the fine print agreement, and Gion, he does this, and he's like, sure, you guys can leave the guy in the skyrise, you can just win, but let me just show you how much money you could have won, or you can win. And just like how psychologically the bells and the whistles and the lights go off within the casino to make you believe that this is a great, awesome thing that's fucking happening, and that's stimulating you to believe that you're gonna win a whole bunch of fucking money. It goes off, and those similar stimulants go off, and all this money gets dropped into a piggy bank, and all people seeing within their eyes is like money, getting them all excited or whatever it is. And I'm not even like, guys, like a little bit of me was even getting a little bit excited, like that's so much money or whatever it is. But realistically, they'll never see it because they're murdering them, right? Anyway, we'll get more into the details of the facts of that in a little bit. So, motivated by money now, the head guy in charge tells them that like they have accumulated, because of the eliminated players, 9.1 billion won. And if they were to leave right now, each of them would get 24 million won. Now, I don't know how much won is to like normal currency with the conversion it is, but that sounds like a whole fuck ton of money. Like, you could be done and you could be okay. I think you could be okay. We don't know the depths. Some of the depths and the extent of the debt and within some people are like really, really crazy. But I think that's more than enough. So as this is happening, Gion is looking around the room. I think in that moment he notices and he thinks, and he really starts to grasp what he's fighting, what he's up against, and trying to save these people. He's trying to fight against greed. He's trying to fight against, which is, I think, to an extent, if I'm being honest, guys, to an extent, human nature, this greed of money, and this greed of security of essentially money. And that's a more difficult thing than you think to actually be fighting against. He's not just fighting the front man, or that's what they call him, the man in the black mask. He's fighting against the guns, and the human need to be greedy, the human sin, seven deadly sin of greed. Because the second the people saw all that money falling into the piggy bank, and they saw all those lights and stuff go off, they just were drawn to it, start walking toward. All their fear seemed to disappear. But anyway, continuing on the story, they decide to hold a vote like they usually do, or well, like the new rules say that they're usually doing after each and every game. So they're holding these votes, and they essentially start voting, and it starts to look like they're gonna go for another game. They decide that, and that's what the vote is for. Decide whether to be X or 0. 0 or O says yes, we're playing another game. X's say no, we would like to go home. And it also brings out the fiscal laws, the like we talked about the games and them being psychologically or politically or correct within this story. Now, there is a thought process behind this to say that, and I guess, like I said, like there's a bigger story going on here if you really think about it, of the story of like, is it really necessarily psychologically and morally correct just because all these motherfuckers want to risk their lives, they have to drag these other people into it? Is it correct? Is it right? I mean, realistically, probably no. And the reason, but realistically, that's life. That's what happens, right? The good smart people that also always have to suffer for the stupid or delusional or greedy people that essentially have a vote or essentially running the world, aka the United States, the person who's running the world right now, if you know what I mean. Anyway, so they start to vote, and like I said, Gion, it starts to look like Gion tries to plead with them to say like, hey, like, no, they will kill you. Let's just go home. Let's leave now. He's trying to save them. Like I said, he's fighting against greed. And some of them are actually blaming Gion for getting them startled within the first game and not being able to perform as well as that they should have or whatever in the first game. And I'm like, what the fuck? Did you not just go through this traumatizing thing? Do you not remember the traumatizing thing that you just went through? Do you not remember this? Do you not like, what are you thinking? Do you know what I mean? Like, and you're still on the idea of like, you know what? Let's keep playing. Let's keep doing this. Like, what the fuck? Your greed has to be so astronomical that a life-changing, life-threatening event means nothing that you want to just get more money. That's crazy to me. That is crazy. Anyway, so everybody basically starts to get all up in arms and starts fighting with one another, the X's and O's, whether to stay or whether to go home. And Gion essentially gets fed up with it, and he breaks the silence, and he's funny, and he unveils the secret of, I played these games before. He yells, I played them before, god damn it. I played these goddamn day before, I've done it. And they put together the pieces of like, oh well, you must have been the lone survivor, and they actually spin it. And this is what like greed does, I think, to people. They will lie, and they will cheat, and they will steal just to manipulate and manipulate just to get to a point, because they're so desperate to try to see if they could get essentially ahead. And Gion tells them the story of how everybody died, and he's warning them that, oh, you're gonna be dead too. And they spin this story of like, oh, we got a previous player. That's even more reason to stay. He can tell us all the cheat codes. He can tell us how to win this. Oh my God. And that, like, they missed the point entirely. So blinded by the greed of this money. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. It makes for great television. It's great. And it tells a bigger story of, you know, people being greedy and wanting to be greedy. But a little bit more into that later. But also keep in mind, guys, it's crazy. I'm sorry, just getting a little bit back to this. But look, they left right now 24 million won. If I'm thinking like $24 million, I just had a life-threatening event. Let's get the fuck out of here. Like, I don't know I don't know what's going on within everybody else's lives, but there are options. At that point, you have options. Do you know what I mean? Like, but even if you are the desperate of the desperate within that situation, within that time, within that specific space, you want more money, need more money, or whatever, that's XYZ. There are options, but there's always some, again, and this, I don't know why, I guess it's bothered me. This old fucker's just egging people on to like, let's just make more money, let's get more money, come on, let's play another game. Well, a lot of you are gonna die because of this, but like, whoever, who cares? And like, it's so sad because like there's a good portion of people that just like literally want to go home, like want to end this madness. They don't want to be a part of this. And I think, again, like this is just a life lesson of showing that where the good people suffer because of the bad people is bullshit. Absolute ridiculous bullshit. Anyway, so the guards essentially stop the guys running the show, stop them from having any more interruptions within the voting or whatever. And then keep in mind, the voting started out from 456. So Gihan is number 456. He started off with the challenge, and he started off with voting first. But what happens is they continue to vote, and it looks like they're down to a split vote of essentially 180 votes. So it's 180 to go, and 180 keep playing, and 180 to leave this place alive. And the final vote is 001, and they do a shot where it's like we're behind 001. He's walking up, and we don't get to see who he is or whatever. And when he finally reaches the panel to actually vote between X and O, everybody is like cheering on X, X, choosing to decide whether it's X or O. And of course, again, this is the first game. Come on, guys, we got it. It's gonna be, we knew it was gonna be O. So they decided to play another game. But at the end of him voting, we get to actually reveal who the it's 182 to 182, not 181. It was 182 to 182, and 183 they decided to stay and continue to the game. And at the end, but like I was saying, at the end of the at the end of this, and at the end, it's revealed that Player 001 was none other than bum bum bum. It was Juno. Bum bum bum. Not Juno. Sorry. Eno. Sorry. It was Eno. Juno's the guy that is a detective. It was Eno. Eno is the front man. It was the front man. So now the front man is actually in the Squid Game with Gion. He's playing with him in multiple ways. Pause. Giggity. Giggity, no pause. No giggity, no pause. He's playing with him though. He's actually playing as a teammate within the Squid Game alongside him. So moving forward, he's gonna be, right there with him, watching it. And that's the end of the episode. Yeah, kind of a long one, guys. We're just gonna jump right into Ash's favorite scenes. Ash's favorite scene for this one, definitely most, is for sure, I'm gonna say, coming in at number 3, is the reveal of these new characters. Definitely that, reveal of Thanos, the new character within Squid Game that came about. It was so very, very much interesting, and it made Squid Game actually, I think, like I said, sing. Coming in at number 2 for Ash's favorite scenes, I think was the red light, green light. Seeing that for the first time, back again on old favorite, that was actually kind of cool to actually see that. And they stick to the guns of Gion, Gion is saying what he said. He's there, what he said he's going to do to help and try to save people, and essentially try to stop these games from progressing any further while he's there. And lastly, coming in at number 1, we get to see that, the front man is actually 001. That was actually kind of cool to see within this episode. But yeah, and just before we go, we're gonna get Ashes. We're gonna get Ashes. We're gonna get the on-review score. On-review score is gonna be for this one. Gonna give Squid Game season 2, episode 3 of 4. Yeah, it's gonna be a 4.5 out of 5. I think that's a strong 4.5 out of 5. Strong 4.5 out of 5. Definitely 110%. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening. This has been fun reviewing this episode with you all. Don't forget to check us out on all of our socials, the Facebook, the Instagram, the Twitter. Go on there and hit us up, and don't forget to hit us up also on the Patreon as well if you want to go ahead and donate and for me to say your name or sing your name or have some kind of composition along with your name played within these episodes. Feel free to go ahead and donate to the Patreon. I would really appreciate it. Like I said, yeah, again, check out our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Don't forget to check out Ashley Anomaly and Anomaly Beats. I heard some of the really good music on there from Anomaly Beats. You like that lo-fi, anime stuff. We got a Dragon Ball track on there, as well as the Naruto track. All those, and fairy tale track. Really like lo-fi anime stuff. Go ahead and check it out. And don't forget to check out Ashley Anomaly as well. Check out that track called Memories and Stars. Stars is it's so inspirational. Anyway, guys, like I said, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget, like I always say at the end of these, be safe, be kind, be you, take care.